I'm the only person in the world that likes the Common Core.
See that?
That's only because of the fact that my daughter started in Common Core, and for me, disrupting Common Core at this point is actually disruptive to her educational process, because she's now 3 years into Common Core.
Yeah.
Wow. Because it was known that it was coming, so she went to private daycares that were already pre-training on the Common Core standards. So she's 3 years into Common Core already in kindergarten.
Is she a happy kid?
Yeah, quite.
Now,
I'm sorry.
since we're talking Common Core for a minute,
Wanted to ask something.
what is the latest decisions? They've cut back on some of the testing, but they're still staying with the general curriculum or the topics that they expect students to cover.
Yes, it hasn't completely been thrown out as of yet. The Common Core itself, it's a good idea. If you go into a private school, they're teaching something that looks like the Common Core. The issue has been New York State's implementation. It's rushed. It's a terrible rush job, and they're not rolling it out grade level by grade level, and it's just one giant implementation. It's been a nightmare. So I think they're trying to, at the state level, distance themselves from the Common Core and say, we might have let the horse out of the barn a little early. So I could give you more information given a little time to research, but it's a Cliff Notes.
I just wanted to ask Sean something.
Sure.
She's a happy kid. In other words, I've always wondered about pushing kids when they're so young.
She doesn't feel pushed by it.
Yeah,
because it's been rolled through. Like I said, she went to an educational daycare, so it wasn't and we rolled her into that. She went from staying at home to in a school environment 3 days a week to in a school environment 4 and then 5, or that first year to then and she's been in full day that whole time, so there was no half day pre-K, now full day kindergarten. She doesn't feel as though she's been rushed, and in some cases she feels like everybody's holding back.
Oh, that's great.
Which is where I want her to be. I'd prefer her to think that she's not getting taught fast enough than overwhelmed, always, obviously.
Right.
But, I don't want her to get bored either. But and there's things that, like you were saying about the Common Core having been pushed out to all grade levels too fast. There's things that she's doing now that are set up that then make some of the middle school things make sense. So like a bunch of my friends who have older children have been like, what is going on with the math? What is going on with this? What is going on with that? And I look at what they're having problems with, and a lot of the cases what they're having problems with are things that if you look at the first grade level, the kindergarten level, that makes sense.
Yes.
The how they're teaching addition, for example. The way that they're teaching the kindergartners and first graders addition and subtraction. When you then take that and make that into a more complicated problem for middle school, fifth grade math, middle school math, whatever, that same way of teaching it, where you're teaching a concept, not a function. So you can memorize all day long 2 + 2 is 4.
Yeah.
If you don't know what 2 + 2 = 4 is, right now that's meaningless. I got a calculator in my pocket. Everybody here probably has a calculator in their pocket. 90% of people walk around with a calculator in their pocket that's more powerful than NASA put a man on the moon. Your average cell phone has 4 times as much power in it for computing than all of NASA had during the Apollo missions.
Wow.
You don't need that. It's really, really handy. You can't forget about that. You can't not know 2 + 2 = 4. But at the same time, it's actually more important to understand, I've got 2 oranges and 2 oranges, that's 4 oranges.
Yeah.
But I've got 2 oranges and 2 apples. That's not 4 oranges. That's only 4 fruit.
Well, and is that Common Core now?
That
How
is
they're
like
doing it?
Yeah.
the worksheets she's bringing home
Yeah.
are that complicated. There's 2 penguins with hats, 2 penguins without hats, and write out a problem of how many penguins with hats there are. Okay, now take that same picture, put down all the penguins with hats in this bubble, all the penguins without hats in this bubble, how many total penguins there are. And they're breaking it down into those discrete categories and the word problems and things like that right from those base levels. And those conceptual problems are what are causing the parents crazy later on, because really previously we've never taught the concept math until freshman year college. If you think about it, maybe in high school math, but really most people aren't appreciative of concept in math until you're in freshman year college, and you're taking your pre-calc class and they start beating it into your head and everybody says, I'm done with this, and walks away.
Yeah, well, I think I was taught, 2 oranges and 2 oranges equals 4, and there were diagrams.
Right, but you weren't, but at that lower level, they never challenge you to, okay, 2 oranges and 2 apples, how many oranges?
Yeah, I don't remember.
You know what I mean? At least that was my experience from, now 25, 30
Back in
years
the
ago.
dark ages, yes.
Yeah. all of us here are from the dark ages of education in that,
Well,
it's changed at least 12 times since.
Yeah, I'm in
It's-
the dark.
All of us, it's changed at least 12 times since then.
But I've always thought you have to do some kind of memory work.
Right. And through doing that, they're definitely still doing the memory work.
Yeah,
But
through doing that, it's
they're never asked to memorize a multiplication table.
Fluency is
Yeah.
built into the curriculum.
Right, yeah, and I was just wondering about, because I remember when, leaving home at the age of 4 for nursery school, it was traumatic for me, even kindergarten. So I don't know if all kids are ready
No,
to be, but some are, and then of course, like all of my nieces and nephews, they have to go to daycare
yeah.
less than a year old.
Yeah.
Because both parents have to work.
And it's then a situation of what unfortunately what you can afford.
Yeah.
The subsidized daycares are, unfortunately mostly holding locations. They're not instructional instructional organizations. The instructional daycares run $220 a week. $250 a week.
Yeah, I believe
You've really got to be in a good situation
That's
in order
right.
to be able to afford that.
Yeah. And the kids get warmth there too. I assume.
Yeah. And multiple staff in the room
Yeah.
and certified teachers and things like that
Yeah.
you're not getting even in necessarily the Head Start programs.
Yeah.
They're trying, but they're not able. To the best of my knowledge, I could be wrong, but they're not getting dedicated that much resource per child.
The funding is not there.
Yeah,
UPK.
Is anybody familiar with, because I'm not, I know that a study was, some years ago, was undertaken to find out how children in Israeli kibbutzim, they were taken from their parents, very, very small. And, similar kind of a daycare because the parents were working the land and all of this kind of stuff. And I know that a study was done, people were talking about that it was going to be done, to find out how these kids fared as they grew to adulthood, and obviously they're adults now. So I don't know. I'm curious about it. I should look it up.
In all honesty, it probably depends on, once again, back to the child. I mean, you've got,
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, I remember being 12 and going to summer camps, and there were kids that would show up at the summer camp that first night, that was the first time they'd ever left home.
Yeah.
And that was just as traumatic an experience as anything else, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
It could be either way, you know?
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can't write an IEP for every child, and
You can't write.
an individualized educational plan.
Oh, yeah.
Great, fine, wonderful. I wish
Yeah.
we lived in the world that had those resources. In all honesty, I don't know why we don't, because, you know, we are playing with the future. But
Well, we've made use of our introduction time and the walk-in item time. So we're on schedule, just reshuffled it a bit.
Nice.
Well,